Checking on the war in Ukraine now, emergency service workers have been extinguishing fires and documenting the scene of Russian airstrikes in Bakhmut in the Donetsk region. One official says the overnight shelling hit a multi-story building and the crime had been documented. Meanwhile, local residents have been using boats to get around the flooded streets of Krivi Ri, the latest city to be hit by the airstrikes from Russia. A city with an estimated pre-war population of 650,000 was hit by 8 cruise missiles on Wednesday, which damaged its water system, sending floodwater to parts of the city. Alexander Vilkol, the head of the Krivi Ri military administration, said in a post on Telegram 112 homes were flooded, but the works to repair the dam on the Inulets River were underway and the flooding was receding. In a video address earlier today, President Volodymyr Zelensky said strikes had hit the Karachunov Reservoir Dam. The water system had no military value, and hundreds of thousands of civilians depend on it daily. The VOA's Anna Chernikova joins us from Kyiv. Anna, great to see you. And this is the first time we're hearing about Krivi Ri, which is, from our understanding, where President Volodymyr Zelensky was born. How significant is it that these strikes have hit this particular city?
Good evening. Yes, this is the home city of President Zelensky, and this is a very well known and quite a big city in Ukraine, as it is industrial city. So there are a lot of industrial facilities in there and industrial infrastructure, and a huge dam, which is the water dam, which is of course has a huge influence on the not on only on the city but also on the region. So the city is a part of the Dnipropetrovsk region, and of course, for the moment, it is very much under missile strikes, sometimes more, sometimes less. But for the past days, it's basically the main city of the main and of the biggest missile strikes.
And we know that these attacks are Russia's response, that is, to the counteroffensive going on in Kharkiv, because Russian forces are they're going back, and Ukrainian forces are forging ahead. But we also know that people were also asked to evacuate Krivi Ri. Is Ukraine also anticipating more strikes on new regions?
Well, you're absolutely correct, and this is how it is, perceived here in Ukraine. That this is kind of a response from the Russian side to the counteroffensive actions. At first, it was the attack on the city of Kharkiv, and now the city of Krivi Ri. Well, actually, quite huge destruction of the dam was reported, and around 112, even more, private houses were flooded due to this missile strike. And as you correctly said, people are actually evacuated because overnight Ukrainian rescue groups were actually working hard and making sure that the water level is not going too high and higher. So it was possible to actually stabilize the water level, but still out of those 112, and maybe a little bit more, so the report for the moment is at 112, out of those 76 houses remain under the water or partly under the water. So these people are obviously evacuated because it is not possible to stay in that areas for the moment. Over the past 24 hours, the city of Krivi Ri was actually attacked 3 times. Twice, the first time it was a big hit of the dam, and the hit was by the Kinjal and Iskander missile. So it's very precise missiles, and especially Kinjal, if we're talking about Kinjal, and very expensive missiles. So Ukrainian officials consider this as a very precise missile strike. And second one was targeting the infrastructure, the civilian and industrial, in particular the infrastructure. And the third one that happened just a couple of hours ago, even less, it was again targeting the dam. So Ukraine definitely expects Ukrainian officials again, and Ukrainian people understand that actually yeah, there is a big possibility of another strikes, and unfortunately, this is something that Ukrainian civilians have to pay for because of the Ukrainian army's success. But as the mayor of Krivi Ri and a lot of locals have said, that this definitely not going to stop Ukrainian army from the advances. So Ukrainian society is very supportive for the army and for their success.
Wow, this is a lot to take in, 3 strikes in one night. Anna, do stay safe in Kyiv.
Thank you.
Russia's foreign ministry says if the United States decides to supply Kyiv with longer-range missiles for the US-made HIMARS systems in use by Ukraine, it would cross a red line to become a party to the conflict. That's coming from Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova, who says Russia reserves the right to defend its territory. She adds that Russia has repeatedly stated that pumping Ukraine with Western weapons leads to a prolongation of hostilities and new casualties among the civilian population. Also stating further that if Washington decides to supply those longer-range missiles, it would cross a red line, become a party to the conflict, and Russia reserves the right to defend its territory by all means available to it. Well, President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Uzbekistan today, where he's also been talking about the situation in Ukraine. He said current attempts, however, to push for a unipolar world have taken an absolutely ugly form lately, which the overwhelming majority of nations of the planet find unacceptable. The remark came as he met with Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Samarkand. President Putin said Russia and China stand together for a just, democratic, multipolar world order based on international law and the central role of the UN, and not on some rules that somebody invented and attempts to impose on others without even explaining what they are. According to him, the administration of US President Joe Biden has been using the phrase rules-based world order to describe the way it prefers the world to operate. During the meeting, President Putin thanked Xi for China's balanced stance on the crisis in Ukraine. China has criticized Russia for having attacked the country, but it's blamed the US for triggering the escalation by its push to expand NATO. Putin also reiterated Russia's support for the One China policy and Beijing's claim of sovereignty over the island of Taiwan. The Chinese government has accused the US of undermining its territorial integrity by increasingly treating Taipei as a separate nation rather than a self-governing part of China. EU says it will be extending sanctions against Russian nationals until the spring of next year, adding that the late Russian politician Vladimir Zhirinovsky, who died this April, will no longer be on that list. That decision was announced by the European Council in the official journal of the European Union on Wednesday, stated that the restrictions against Russian individuals accused of undermining or threatening the territorial integrity, sovereignty and independence of Ukraine would last until March 15, 2023. Now, aside from Zhirinovsky, who was the founder and leader of the Liberal Democratic Party of Russia, the EU also removed Olga Aziman, the former wife of Russian business tycoon Mikhail Friedman, as well as Saudat Nazarieva, the sister of billionaire and former Arsenal Football Club shareholder Alisher Osmanov. But European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is in Kyiv today, where she's said she's impressed with the speed at which the country is proceeding in its bid to become a member of the European Union. Ms. von der Leyen, who arrived in Kyiv yesterday to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky, says the EU needs to do as much as possible to ensure Ukraine has more business and more income.
We have discussed a lot of topics. First of all, I must say the accession process is well on track. It's impressive to see the speed, the determination, the preciseness with which you are progressing. And as you know, we support you wherever we can. I do not have to say to speed up the process because you are speeding it up. That is very good. In parallel, we have agreed that we need to work as much as possible to make sure that Ukraine has more business, more income, and thus the seamless access to the European single market is possible for Ukraine. You might recall that at the beginning of this atrocious war, there was still the plan that in 2024, the Ukrainian electricity grid should be connected to the European one. Well, we made it in 2 weeks. This was amazing. And since then, even better, Ukraine is delivering electricity to the European Union. This we want to improve and increase, and thus create steadfast flows of income, for example, for Ukraine.